There is no echo. I don't know what you mean.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt.
Yeah, I had a power issue yesterday. It ended up being the cord that plugs into the back of like the tower of the computer or whatever.
The world burn away, we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To play, haters face the world's been.
At least I think that's what it was. I don't know.
Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
I've listened into the stream. I don't hear an echo.
And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race.
Are we the baddies? Stop the music. What's up, Narc? Welcome, welcome. Damn, I was hoping that was going to be bigger. Let me try that again. No, it's still shitty. Anyways, roll the intro.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat
I just
stick.
now got
I heard
the,
that it's very
initials.
thick, like a good old German sausage. You know.
Yeah, you've got to
Linda
open
and
twice
her
then.
coochie loves that.
Close it.
Never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Will Bird. This is the Cold Beer Confessional. It's open doubled or something. You need to close it and open it again, maybe. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I think we may currently be the baddies. It's not great. First of all, last night I wasn't live. I kept tripping breakers. I even thought there's something wrong with the breaker because like everything was like turned off. Nothing was plugged into these outlets that was tripping a breaker, but I swapped the breaker and that ended up that didn't fix it. So I messed around for like a couple hours trying to figure out what was wrong, and it ended up being the power cord that like basically plugs into the wall. Mine's plugged into an extension cord, but plugs into the wall, and then it has like a plastic molded part that you plug in. It basically goes into the power supply on the computer, but the same cord fits like 3D printers, computers, printers. It's like that weird, it's like a triangle with a flat top cord that you plug in. Hold on, I'll show you. It fits a bunch of things. So I had an extra one. It just took me forever to figure it out. Here's one. Let's see. Open image in a new tab. Yeah, one of these cords. And I'm guessing that's it because after I plugged it in several thousand times, unplugged it. After I changed this, it seemed to work. But it was just tripping breakers constantly. The PC was down probably since about 9:30. So yeah, at least a couple hours I worked on it. And then I got frustrated and quit for an hour, and then I worked on it again. So sorry about that. We're back now. Thank you guys for joining us. Welcome everybody. Imagine, this is blowing my mind, okay? We are taking people that are technically here legally, asylum seekers. You might not like asylum, but asylum seekers who declared themselves political enemies in Venezuela. And we are sending them to a country that they may or may not have ever even been to a maximum security prison with no evidence, no due process, no judge, no court, no defense, nothing. Like, I can't believe this isn't bothering more people. And the prison is like insane. Like it's this huge maximum security prison. They bring you in with like, they've got masks over their face and they shave your head and they have you in chains on your knees and like begging for forgiveness. Like this is where people go and disappear. Like a lot of people that have spoken out about the government in El Salvador go here and just disappear. It's crazy. The latest one, I told you about the one who had the tattoo for his daughter, right? This is the latest guy. He was a Venezuelan professional soccer player. And coach. Now, technically, he did come here illegally, right? He came into the country illegally. But then he declared himself that he had been tortured by the Venezuelan government. And so he's seeking asylum, right? He's seeking asylum because he's been tortured by his government. And that's what we do. We give asylum to asylum seekers. The government is now like lashing back out against these stories saying, oh, we for sure know he's a gang member. We don't trust you. That's why we have judges, right? The government can't come in and say, we for sure know he's a murderer, death penalty. Or we for sure know he robbed this bank, prison for life. Like, we've never trusted the government and they're just like, trust me, bro. Not to mention, we sent him to El Salvador. I don't even know if he's ever been to El Salvador, but we sent him to prison in El Salvador. Now, he has a tattoo, okay? It is a soccer ball. It's on his arm right here. It's a soccer ball with a crown on it. I'll show you the whole case. Hold on. Where is that at? Is it here? I, Lynette Tobin, do hereby declare the following under penalty of perjury. I am the immigration attorney for Jerce Reyes Barrios, born in January 16th, 1989. He was born like a month before I was. In February and March of 2024, Mr. Reyes Barrios, in 2 demonstrations in Venezuela, protesting the authoritarian rule of Maduro. At the second demonstration, he was detained and taken to a clandestine building where he was tortured with electric shocks and suffocation, along with other demonstrators. Shortly after his release, he fled Venezuela for the United States. He registered with CBP-1 in Mexico, then presented himself to CBP officials on the day of his appointment. He was taken into custody and detained at Otay Mesa Detention Facility in September 2024. We applied for asylum, withholding of removal, and CAT protection in December 2024. His final individual hearing is set for April 17th, 2025. Before Judge Robinson, so he was already in the system, already declared himself, had a court date. Before that court date comes, Judge Robinson at the Otay Mesa Immigration Court. On March 15th, 2025, Mr. Reyes Barrios was deported to El Salvador with no notice to counsel or family. No lawyers told, no families told, nobody's told. He has never been arrested or charged with a crime. He has steady employment record as a soccer player as well as a soccer coach for children and youth. It was not until 3 days after he was deported that counsel was able to reach an ICE official and learn that he had been, in fact, been deported. It took his lawyers 3 days to figure out he had been deported. Initially, Mr. Reyes Barrios was placed in a maximum security at Otay Mesa and accused of being Tren de Aragua gang member. This is the gang that Trump can never pronounce. The accusation is based on 2 things. Firstly, he has a tattoo on his arm of a crown sitting atop a soccer ball with rosary and the word Dios. DHS alleges that this tattoo is proof of gang membership. In reality, he chose this tattoo because it is similar to the logo of his favorite soccer team, Real Madrid. So Real Madrid's logo is a circle with their initials in it and a crown. He's replaced the circle with a soccer ball and rosary beads, okay? And Dios just means God, right? That's what they're claiming is his crime or his proof. The only other proof they have is DHS reviewed his social media post and found a photo. They're claiming he's making gang symbols. Look at what this guy is doing. It's down at the bottom. I think I've got another image. Here it is. Is this a gang sign now? Like, holy fuck. It means I love you in sign language, right? But people do it literally all the time. Non-gang members do it all the time. A professional soccer player was deported, not just deport. It's one thing to deport somebody and send them to a different country, send them to Mexico or whatever and say, hey, you got to go through the right process. Deported to a maximum security prison in a different country than where they're from or where they entered from. A professional soccer player for having a soccer tattoo. They're calling anything with a crown, anything with a clock. There were some other ones. Anything with a skull, anything with a certain type of flowers and rosary. All that's gang symbols now. It says, second, DHS reviewed his social media post and found a photo of Mr. Reyes Barrios making a hand gesture that they allege is proof of gang membership. In fact, the gesture is a common one that means I love you in sign language and is commonly used as a rock and roll symbol. You can't see his thumb on the other one. So the other hand, at worst, might be this. The absolute worst take is this, okay? The one that we know for sure is this. It says, okay, it says the Department of Homeland Security is hitting back at the viral claims that a Venezuelan soccer player was deported to El Salvador after he was mistakenly identified as a member of Tren de Aragua. The feds say they're confident he's a paid-up member of the violent Venezuelan prison gang. Barrios was in the U.S. as a professional soccer player and refugee of Venezuela's communist regime. Immigration attorney Lynette Tobin said in a recent court filing. Tobin claims he's wrongfully sent for El Salvador after President Trump invoked the 18th Century Alien Enemies Act to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members without a hearing. After he entered the U.S., Barrios was accused by immigration agents of being a member of Tren de Aragua due to his tattoos and social media posts. She claims that the tattoo in question features a crown atop a soccer ball with a rosary and the Spanish word for God, which is Dios is God, similar to the logo for the Spanish soccer club Real Madrid. He has never been arrested or charged with a crime. His steady employment record as a soccer player, as well as a soccer coach for children and youth. Tobin also pointed out his social media photo, which he said the DHS allowed showed him fashion Tren de Aragua gang sign, but she said it means I love you in sign language, commonly used rock and roll symbol. However, DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin said that the feds determined that Barrios was a gang member goes beyond a single tattoo and that they are confident in their findings. Then, okay, here's what you don't have to do if you're confident in your findings. Load everybody up on a plane in the middle of the night and fly them to a foreign country and put them in a maximum security prison. If you're confident in your findings, you could show it to a judge. There's not a judge here that has made the argument that we should keep violent gang members in our country. They're making the argument you can't just decide that because they're from this place and they have a tattoo. She said Barrios was in the U.S. illegally, adding that his tattoos are consistent with those indicating Tren de Aragua membership. She also said his social media posts indicate he's a member of a violent prison gang which operates in numerous U.S. states, including New York. He can't be part of a prison gang when he's never been to prison. Tobin argued that Barrios fled Venezuela after he's detained and tortured last year for protesting the Maduro regime. He later entered the U.S. using the CB1 phone app, which they've now deleted. Right? They've taken the app down. And was detained by ICE in September. Barrios' name was listed on a leaked document naming the deportees removed from El Salvador, according to CBS News. Tobin didn't respond to the post request for comment. While in the U.S., Barrios applied for asylum, a deportation pause, and additional protections, said Tobin. His final immigration hearing was scheduled for next month. Like, next month, he was going to get asylum. Like, there's no way he didn't. He's a professional soccer player. He was arrested and tortured by the Maduro regime. There's no way he didn't get it, unless there's something like this on his background where they can prove like he's a gang member. This was just a, hey, we can push this through if we do it right now before anybody's looking. Find me as many Venezuelans as you can with a tattoo. He was deported without notifying her or the family. The Trump administration transported. By the way, this is the thing they bring up at hearings, right? It wasn't that. It's not like you go through a hearing for asylum and then you just get it automatically, right? If he's a gang member in April, when his court date was set, all they had to do was bring that up. And he wouldn't have got asylum. Everybody always comes into chat and they're like the one person their stream's not working. They're like, must be the stream. It's always you. Just refresh. It's always you. When a video's muted, I get 400 people telling me they can't hear it. The Trump administration transported more than 260 illegal migrants, 238 of which are alleged gangbangers, to El Salvador's notorious mega prison on Saturday, where they were handed off to armed commandos with their heads down and hands and ankles in shackles, defying U.S. District Judge order to turn the planes around. The judge ordered the administration to immediately halt deportations and to turn around the previously departed flights. By the way, this judge has told the administration, hey, I want to know why you didn't obey my order. And they're like going back and forth with the media, and he's like, no, you have to appear in front of me and tell me why you didn't obey my order. He's like, unless it's some type of state secret that you can't share with the court, I want answers. So, of course, the Trump administration shows up and says, it's state secrets. He's like, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. which was last used in World War II to hold Japanese. Like, this is a stain on our history. You guys know that, right? Like, the law he's using, we use to round up Japanese Americans and put them in concentration camps. Like, it's something horrible we did. Like, I get it. World War. We're worried about spies. We're worried about that. It's something horrible we did that we definitely could have done better. The leak list of the one-way passengers also included the name of baby-faced alleged Tren de Aragua gangbanger Nixon Perez, 19, who was accused of trying to hide the evidence of an attempted murder in Aurora, Colorado over the summer. He entered in the U.S. 2023, used CBP-1 alongside his alleged gangbanger brother. Also listed is Henry Vargas, 32. Who was collared at an apartment complex taken over by Tren de Aragua in Aurora, Colorado. While in Colorado, he was charged with extortion and had been identified by the feds as a member of the gang. His family identified him in a dramatic video of the deportees' arrival to El Salvador. But his family argued that Vargas was merely a victim of a scam, according to the Miami Herald. And this is stuff that should be settled in court, dude. You won't find a judge or a not a lunatic, not like a crazy as far left as you can be leftist on Twitter, like a normal fucking person who is arguing to keep violent gang members here. But you haven't proved that. You haven't proven that that's what these people are. You've proven they were from Venezuela, and you wanted to get rid of them as quick as possible because you didn't want to comply with the judge. It says Trump signed an executive order upon entering office designating Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization, allowing more federal resources to arrest and deport the Venezuelan gangbangers. But then comes out today, President-elect Donald Trump on Friday downplayed his involvement in even invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport Venezuelan migrants, saying for the first time that he hadn't even signed the proclamation, even as he stood by his administration's moves. I don't know where it was signed because I didn't sign it, Trump told reporters before leaving the White House on Friday evening. The president made his comments when asked to respond to Judge James Boasberg's concerns in court on Friday that the proclamation was signed in the dark of night and that migrants were hurried onto planes. We want to get criminals out of our country, number one, and I don't know when it was signed because I didn't sign it, Trump said. Other people handled it, but Marco Rubio has done a great job, and he wanted them out. And we go along with that. We want to get criminals out of our country. The proclamation invoking the Alien Enemies Act appears in the Federal Register with Trump's signature at the bottom. Yeah, it says the invocation of the Alien Enemies Act regarding the invasion of the United States by Tren de Aragua, signed March 14th, 2025. And it was submitted to the Federal Register on March 20th, 2025. It is Proclamation 10903. Hours after the president made his comments on Friday, the White House claimed that Trump was not talking about whether he signed that document last week. President Trump was obviously referring to the original Alien Enemies Act that was signed in 1798. Trump thought he was being asked if he signed a document in the 1700s. And he's like, no, I don't know who did it. He doesn't remember even signing it, or he's trying to downplay signing it. And the White House's response is like, he wasn't even alive in 1798, we don't think, maybe. You thought we were talking about 1798. The recent executive order was personally signed by President Trump, invoking the Alien Enemies Act that designated Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization in order to apprehend and deport these heinous criminals. That's the official White House stance. Yes, Trump's assertion that, quote, other people handled it, and his specific citation of Rubio did it, and we're going along with it. Does he think that Marco Rubio signed it in 1798? Because he said other people handled it. Marco Rubio has done a great job, and he wanted them out. And we go along with that. The most transparent administration in history, folks. I love Tesla. Trump raised Rubio's name without prompting from anyone. When he was then asked a hypothetical question about whether he would send another deportation flight to El Salvador tonight amid the ongoing litigation, Trump said it would be up to Rubio. Quote, I would say that I'd have the Secretary of State handle it because I'm not really involved in that. But does he think is he starting to see that it's getting bad press and he does this, right? He didn't have anything to do with the lockdowns. Because I'm not really involved in that. But the concept of getting bad people, murderers, rapists, drug dealers, these are some really bad people out of the country. I ran on that. I won on that. At a hearing earlier, Friday, Boasberg vowed to find out whether officials in the Trump administration violated his orders temporarily blocking the use of the Alien Enemies Act for deportations by refusing to turn two flights around. That they absolutely did. And then they claimed that your verbal order didn't count, that they didn't receive the written order until it was over international waters. Even over international waters isn't an excuse, right? I can't take you out on a cruise ship and waterboard you and be good because I'm in international waters. I will get to the bottom of whether they violated my order, who ordered this, and what the consequences will be. This might be what Trump's trying to get away from. And blaming Rubio. Boasberg said near the end of the hour-long hearing over whether he should lift the pair of orders he issued last Saturday. Boasberg, an appointee of the former President Barack Obama. By the way, is this the same guy? Let me make sure. Before I say something wrong. Okay, yeah. So they keep saying that he was appointed by Obama, which is technically true, right? Technically true. But he was originally brought up by George W. Bush in 2002. He was elevated by Obama later. So this isn't like a hardcore leftist, blue-haired fucking screaming liberal who only the he was originally George Bush put him on the federal bench. He was elevated to his current position. He was elevated to his current position by Obama. Appeared incensed over how the Justice Department handled the fast-moving case, opening the hearing by tearing into the tone the administration had taken in some of its core filings. He told DOJ attorney Drew Ensign that the government had used intemperate and disrespectful language that he's never seen from the United States as it pushed various legal arguments before him earlier this week, including the suggestion his orders from the bench last Saturday carried less weight than a written order that was issued shortly after those proceedings. So a judge's verbal order to you is just as good as what's in writing, right? Especially if he's telling you to stop something. It may be more detailed and laid out and have legal jargon with it. But if he tells you something, it holds just as much weight. Much of Friday's hearing focused on arguments from the Justice Department for why Boasberg should lift his orders to stop. For now, Trump's use of the 18th century law to quickly deport some migrants whom the U.S. has accused of being affiliated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. The administration is arguing that Boasberg exceeded his authority in blocking their removals because they say Trump's use of the act is an irreviewable, an irreviewable act by federal courts. There's a typo here. This is crazy, right? I can't find out how to make a label for my content on my new Twitch. Don't know. This seems wild, dude. Like I don't understand what we're doing. That we're sending people to a prison in a country they've never been to. Without any evidence, anything. Oh. Seems pretty crazy, huh? This is the guy. I mean, there's his tattoo. It looks like rosary beads come down. There's definitely a soccer ball there, and there's a crown on it. But I guess they're labeling anything with a crown as now gang-related. Due process and equal protections under the law is found in the United States Constitution in the 5th and 14th Amendments. Barrios has an asylum application pending and was here legally. He had the soccer tattoo, and that was what got him sent to prison for hardened criminals in El Salvador without due process. If the government is willing to so blatantly violate the Constitution, you MAGA fools better believe that the government will violate your Second Amendment right and take your guns so that you can't resist full-blown dictatorship. This is the hop. So they make these hop videos of that prison. This is where they got them. They got their head pushed down. They're all wearing masks. They shave all their heads. They have them on their knees, fucking begging for mercy and shit. Pretty wild. I don't even know what to say. I mean, this is horrible, dude. I couldn't imagine. Could you imagine going to a prison in a country you've never fucking been to? Especially like a maximum. For what crime, by the way? Right? They're in prison in a country with no crime because they crossed our border? We send them to an El Salvador prison? What is the sentence? How long are they going to be there? Most people just disappear in this prison. It's just... kind of crazy, you know? I don't know what to say anymore. I never thought... I knew it was going to get bad. I didn't know it was going to get this bad this quick. It's pretty fucking intense already. Some of these people, literally their only crime was being from Venezuela, which we are accepting asylum seekers from, right? They came here, they did the process, they went and checked in, right? Used the app, went and checked in, said, you know, and if they're not valid asylum seekers, fine. But even if they weren't valid asylum seekers, they wouldn't go to prison in El Salvador. Yeah, but we can't just leave the El Salvador fucking president, right? Even if they're not valid asylum seekers, they still don't go to prison in El Salvador. Hold on, I want to see if I can find this clip. Hold on, that's not it. I hate those AI bullshit videos. Maybe this is it. If you type in Barron Trump, must be like the number one trending search for Q-tards. If you type in Barron Trump on YouTube, all of these fucking fake AI voice videos come up. Like an insane number about how tall he is and where he was raised and what he believes and quotes he's never made, but they'll say he did. Like, you get some audio.
Look at a computer.
Is Barron's aptitude, in your view, business or politics?
Maybe technology. He can look at a computer. I try turning off his car, turn it off. I turn off his laptop. I said, oh, good. And I go back 5 minutes later, he's got his laptop. I said, how'd you do that? None of your business, Dad. No.
What? You turn off his laptop. 5 minutes later, he has it turned back on. That's his big skill here?
Is Barron's aptitude, in your view, business or politics?
Maybe technology. He can look at a computer. I try turning off his car, turn it off. I turn off his laptop. I said, oh, good. And I go back 5 minutes later, he's got his laptop. I said, how'd you do that? None of your business, Dad. No, he's got an unbelievable aptitude in technology.
He can turn on a computer.
What the hell? He thinks that his son is a tech whiz because he figured out how to turn his laptop back on. Apparently, I can start up.
Fuck it. I want to watch this. I want to watch this whole rant. Hold on. We can listen to this guy's take too.
Because I've turned on multiple computers. This computer that I'm broadcasting on, I turned it on actually. I don't know how. He's got a whiz.
I turned this one on today.
For the technology, I guess. Look, I'm glad that he.
What year is that interview? A day ago? Year?
He's at least, he likes one of his kids, one of the male ones. So that's a nice change. Although you have to imagine that Eric and Don Jr. are watching. It's like, but Papa, I turned on my computer. Why don't you love me? And so that's funny.
I love my suitcase.
Donald Trump is with Barron.
In your bit, when Donald Jr. and Eric have their laptops, they're just iPads with like the big ear, like the kids have like iPad pads around them. With my laptop
to protect it from falls.
Because yeah, it's like it has a helmet on it essentially because those guys drop it all the time. This is great because this really unlocks for me how he must view not just Barron but Elon. Like if he's this impressed with Barron because he turned a computer on, that explains like this guy made a car. There was not a car. He made a car. He's got people. He's got a car. There's rockets.
Computer.
He does rockets like a flying computer. Give this guy charge of everything.
I turned the Tesla off, and you know Elon had it turned back on 5 minutes later, and I'm like, what the hell? I turned the Tesla off.
I look so easily impressed. And so that's weird. Man, Donald Trump does not know anything about technology, anything. And he's on his phone all day long. But that isn't the thing that bothers me the most. That's weird. We can make fun of their whole family. Their whole family is so weird. No, the thing for me is it's Laura Ingraham there. What a throne sniffer. Would you say that the aptitude of Barron is for politics or...
All right, let's watch this full interview. She's trying to drain those Cheeto-flavored balls. That's what she's doing.
It's time for part 2 of my exclusive interview with President Trump. If you're successful in deporting these pro-Hamas agitators, as you did with
that's $20,000 a year. $20,000 a year to house the president or senate. If it's $300 for $6 million, is that what you said?
Columbia. I was a former student at Columbia. Is there any concern that...
By the way, this is apparently one of the toughest prisons to survive in the world. If they weren't gang members, we probably made them gang members. Like, a lot of these prisons, you have to join a gang to survive. I don't know. I feel horrible about it. And I understand people that cross the border illegally, even for a better life. I know I would do it, right? If I had no option and the cartel and my family was starving to death, I'd pack everybody up and cross the border. But at least I understand deportation, right? You came here, you know, the system sucks. Maybe you should have went through the system. I know it sucks. I know you don't have the money, blah, blah, blah. You're trying to get a better life. I understand that. At least I understand deportation. I don't understand. Like, I came from Mexico. I came from Venezuela. All right. A year in El Salvador maximum security prison it is. Like, I don't even understand that. With no court case, no evidence. No, I just came from Venezuela and I have a tattoo.
That in a Democratic administration, that same provision could be used to deport more conservative thinkers who are also immigrants to the United States. Let's say they're Chinese freedom dissidents from China or others.
Look, no system is perfect, but you say
MAGA is eternally short-sighted. They are eternally short-sighted. They literally can't see tomorrow, okay? Their guy won't always be president. Their guy won't always be president. And when he's not, and someone else says, "Oh, well, we don't believe in this amendment," right? You're using it the wrong way. Or we're going to do this, or we're going to get rid of those. They'll be screaming and foaming at the mouth and screaming about my Constitution again.
As I was with Khalil, well, Khalil's not exactly an easy one either, because some judge, glommed onto him. But think of it. The Democrats lost big, and you look at what's happening with Schumer, but the Democrats lost big because of the stupidity of,
Yeah, I've got that story too.
They're backing these 90% negative things from their standpoint. Men and women's sports, transgender for everybody, all of this stuff, they're all for it.
There are first of all, I don't think the government should be doing anything in sports. I think whatever the applicable body with the sport should make these decisions. They're dealing with the sports every day. The NCAA or like your local school board or whatever, right? Make those decisions. They've got you worried about 5 people in the NCAA while Trump is literally deporting political prisoners to death. Not all of those people we already deported will survive that prison. Everybody starts screaming, but there's a trans playing again. Protect my little girl, play soft. You've never even seen a trans person. What the fuck are you worried about?
And you know what? They're still fighting for it. But now they have a new one. We're going to back murderers, killers, and people that hate our country. We're going to back people that hate Israel, want to destroy it. People that are murderers, people that are horrible. We're going to back them.
Now, right here, they're talking about Khalil, who they can't even prove was part of the protest. They can only prove he was picked to be a negotiator with the university when the protests were going on. And he keeps screaming, horrible murderers, murderers, horrible because he doesn't like Israel.
People that hate our country. We're going to back people that hate Israel, want to destroy it. People that are murderers, people that are horrible. We're going to back them. I think that might be a 100% issue for us. They don't ever find an issue that's like a good
politically
issue.
very helpful.
No, politically. I mean, this is not backing Khalil is not a great issue, but backing Khalil is better than backing these other, hundreds of people that are really serious criminals. It's probably a step.
All the judge said is prove it. The judge didn't say you couldn't deport them. The judge didn't say it was within your power. The judge said you haven't proven any of this. I have tattoos, right? If I got rounded up one day and put in prison, especially in a foreign fucking country, and they're like, well, you got a tattoo, and we saw you do this with your hands one time,
better than that.
The EB-5 visas, you've spoken about them and the fraud and abuse of that process over years. They're basically immigrant investment visas. $800,000, you can get a fast track to a green card. You don't have to speak English. You don't have to have a special skill, but it's very popular. It's a big long line of people waiting to get these EB-5 visas.
We're going to have one that's much more popular.
But the golden visa, which you're obviously backing, probably is going to have to go through Congress. We'll see if they actually do that. But $5 million investment from a foreigner coming into the United States. Why should our citizenship?
EB-5, I don't know. When he was talking about the golden visas, I looked up the EB-5, and it was something like, if you're a foreign investor and you can create like so many jobs, and it wasn't a whole lot. Invest in something like a commercial business that like employs 10 or 15 people. But it's not like as many of those people that can come. It's still a process. There's still a waiting list. There's still like a minimum of a $1 million investment, something like that. Like, and there's like a line, right? And we're not letting everybody just do it. Trump's idea is anybody that pays him the money, come on.
Be purchased for any amount of money, especially given the fact that you're America first, given the types of people who have $5 million to throw down for a visa or for a permanent residency.
That's why, because I'm America first. Because at $5 million, you're getting a lot of things, but you're getting $5 million. Let's say we sell 1 million of them. That's $5 trillion. We are now a unbelievably successful country, paying down tremendous amounts of debt. It's all going to pay down debt. We're going to have very little debt.
Separate
fund?
If you did,
think of it, if you did $5 million. Now, generally, people that can pay $5 million are going to be job producers, okay? They're going to be successful. They're going to produce jobs. But here's another thing. Apple comes to me. A lot of companies come to me. They say, sir, we just made a deal to hire the #1 student at the Wharton School of Finance or at Harvard Business School or anything else, or MIT or Stanford or any of it. But they're going to throw them out of the country the day after graduation. They'll come to me. They say, amounts of debt.
Residency.
That's why, because I'm America first. Because at $5 million, you're getting a lot of things, but you're getting $5 million. Let's say we sell 1 million of them. That's $5 trillion. We are now a unbelievably successful country, paying down tremendous amounts of debt. It's all going to pay down debt. We're going to have very little debt.
Separate fund?
If you did, think of it, if you did $5 million. Now, generally, people that can pay $5 million are going to be job producers, okay? They're going to be successful. They're going to produce jobs. But here's another thing. Apple comes to me. A lot of companies come to me. They say, sir, we just made a deal to hire the #1 student at the Wharton School of Finance or at Harvard Business School or anything else, or MIT or Stanford or any of it. But they're going to throw them out of the country the day after graduation. They'll buy these.
Why should any American kid become a computer
And by the way, they're going to call it.
So the plan is we're going to educate these people. They're going to be the #1 prospects graduating these schools. But Trump's policy is to throw them out on graduation day and instead force a company to pay him $5 million for a green card.
Either the gold card. The problem is there's many gold cards. Well, I will tell you what my people want to call it. It'll drive you crazy. It'll drive the left crazy. They want to call it the Trump card because the Trump card sells much better than the gold card. Everybody has a.
So you're not worried about any unsavory people coming in and taking.
Yeah, I'm worried about unsavory. In which case we're going to
be vetted.
Give them the money back and they get out.
They'll be.
Give them the money back. Full refund. Full refund.
Properly vetted.
They're going to be properly vetted, but we're talking about a lot of people. I think it's going to be very successful. If somebody's wrong, we actually.
Right. It needs to provide for the people, and it needs to be steady, reliable.
Very, very nice, because it makes it a lot easier legally. We give them their money back and we send them out.
Now coming.
Yes, he wants to call it the Trump card. He's always wanted to call it the Trump card.
What President Trump did that made Barron say, none of your business. Plus an exclusive tour of the Oval Office. More of my interview with President Trump and some surprises.
What President Trump did that made Barron say, none of your business.
Next. This week, President Trump.
Fucking stupid. These cocksuckers, dude. Just get on your fucking knees, whore. Like, where are we at now? Oh, you're saying Barron can turn on a computer? I would fucking hope so. Ollie can turn on a computer.
Hinted that China's President Xi would be coming to the United States in the not-too-distant future. And there's also talk of a Beijing summit between the two. But what's the truth? Here's more of my interview with President Trump. Is there going to be a summit in June?
It could be. I mean, I wouldn't mind a summit, but there's going to be something else taking place. It's called April 2nd, and that's going to be tariffs. And China will pay, and other countries will pay. We've been ripped off by every country in the world, friend and foe. And on April 2nd, I call it the liberation of America. We've been the fat, dumb, foolish country that allowed everybody to rip us off, including our friends. Look at NATO. Until I got involved in NATO, we were paying for the whole thing practically.
There's a lot of talk about
We're arguably the most successful country in the world. People want to come here for a reason.
Possibility of a recession, and CNBC had a report from the Fed saying they can't rule it out. It could actually happen. What can you say to Americans tonight who are concerned about the possibility of a recession, given the fact that you're trying to reorient the economy to a manufacturing economy again?
I think if I didn't get elected, our country would be finished to start off with. And now that I did,
it would have just ended on inauguration.
I think we're going to have the strongest economy in the history of the world. And I had that economy in 4 years with all the harassment, with all the crazy people after me, with all of the things that went on, even with COVID. I had the strongest economy in the history of our country. I had a stock market that went up 88%. 88%, number one in history. The other markets went up 66%, and I think like 71%.
Will we see a recession in 2025? Are you ruling it out?
We're going to have the strongest economic country in the history of the world, of the planet. We are taking in so much money. Now, some people are unhappy because, it has to come from somewhere. Some of it's going to come from Europe because not everybody's going to be doing as much business maybe in Europe.
The wealth, it's got to come from the wealthy. Every country in the world seems to be facing the same issue, that since the 60s, we had so you have the working class, the middle class. Actually, that should be bigger. The middle class, the wealthy, and the government. Right. This was in 1960. Okay. Since the 60s, what has happened is now the working class, the middle class, the wealthy, and the government. Okay. And to do anything, right? To buy a house, to take out a loan, to get a car, to start a business, all requires capital. And now that the wealthy are holding all of this capital, you have to go through them. Even to buy products, right? It requires capital. Everybody has to go through the wealthy, including the government, to get money. And all it does is keep money flowing their way through interest that they loan out, through programs that they do, through bonds that they buy, through investments they make. Every class is being destroyed by the transfer of wealth from everybody to the wealthy. And the only way to fix this, these people right here, for the last 5 to 10 years, have been in absolute poverty. They're dying already, right? They're homeless. They can't afford groceries. They're hungry. And that's what's going to happen to the middle class. The government will always be fine borrowing money and doing their thing. That's what's going to happen to the middle class. The only way to get this money back out is to tax them at a substantial rate. To tax them. That's it. Short of a full-on revolution where we just go and video game the wealthy and put their money back into the pool they're going to hold it. They're going to pass it on. They're going to stick it in banks. They're going to make interest on it. They're going to loan it out. They're going to make money off that. It's not trickling down. It's not happening. It's being hoarded, and it's happening in every first world nation, right? Europe has the same problem. We were in the best financial shape in our lives when the upper class and corporations had the highest taxes on record.
Clayton Knight just resubscribed for 21 months.
We're creating generations of people that will never own a home. Your house payment can't be 80% of what you make in a two-person household and both people are working. You can't do it. So what do? You transfer more wealth to the wealthy by paying rent on something you'll never own, and they'll never sell. There has to be something down. There's a finite, there isn't, but if you think of it as a finite amount of money, and we want to put some in every fucking bucket. Now, I don't need to make the working class as rich as the wealthy. I don't need to do that. I don't need to make the middle class as rich as the wealthy. But everybody's got to have enough in their bucket to fucking survive, at least. And these people are already done. These people are headed there. The reason that everybody thinks the economy is so bad is not because, we went through inflation and we had a logistics issue and COVID and price spikes and all that shit. It's because of how tight the belt is getting around the middle class. They feel like the working class did 10 years ago, where it's like, holy fuck, I'm working 72 hours a week, my wife's working 50, and we can't even put money into savings. Like, as soon as we make it, it's gone. But for some reason, it's been indoctrinated in us that, oh no, the rich already paid. What, you want to tax the rich? Why is it their problem? If we give them tax breaks, they make jobs. And both sides do it, left and right. They both do it. Nobody's taking the left is better about it, and candidates like Bernie Sanders know what the fuck they're talking about. That's why it resonated with so many people when the struggle started. But they all have their corporate donors. A lot of them are in this class, this wealthy class. They don't want to get rid of their own money. But the entire system of using money is set up to where they get their piece no matter what. Every time you buy something, every time you borrow money, every time you use your credit card, who do you think is making all that fucking money? When's the last time you issued 11 billion credit cards? Interest isn't going to me. And what makes it even harder is when we're in this last little bit, right? When we're in this last part of this curve, all right? Hold on. So this is the wealthy earning money over time, okay? So they're putting their money to work, right? They're making more money, they're making more money, they're making more money, they're making more money. As the classes below them get more desperate, so what we want to do is say, okay, you've made money, just continue on like this, right? Just continue on. You're going to build wealth. No one's saying that everybody needs this much in their bank account and you can't have any more. But what happens as people get more desperate, as people start running out of money, start doing more desperate things, start fucking doing all these things, fucking loans and working extra jobs and putting shit on credit cards, the rate at which they earn goes up exponentially. And we're asking the wealthy and those controlled by the wealthy to stop this, and they're right here. Right? They know what's coming. We're saying, hey, we need you to stop this. And they know they're getting ready to make this. What's the largest transfer of wealth from the lower and middle class to the wealthy was during COVID. It sped this up exponentially. They're on this curve thinking, nah, we'll just hold on and make a few $1 billion by destroying everybody else. But we're literally going to be, it's not going to be a working class, like poverty, working class, middle class. Like, it's not going to be it. It's just going to be abject poverty and then the elites. That's what we're headed towards. And no one wants to come out and say, hey, we're probably going to need the money out of that pool that we've... I'm not saying you can't make money. I'm not saying put you in prison. You're going to continue to make money. It would be incredibly hard to stop you from this trajectory already, unless we're just going to start fucking shooting people. But we can't have this because we are literally the inverse of this. We're on the bottom side doing this at the same time. Bernie Sanders doesn't set property taxes. It's 1.78%. It's about to get really bad. I was just watching. There's a really long video. It's the only reason I guess I didn't play it on here. Let me see if I can find it. It's this one. We might watch it when we're done. It's like a long video, though. It's like 45 minutes. It's a pretty long video. We can at least watch the setup.
But I can only speak for the United States, and I am a nationalist, and I'm proud of it. I love this country, and I want to help other countries too. Look, I'm the one, if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be talking peace in Ukraine and Russia, because they're not Americans being killed. They're Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers, and I'm trying to make peace. And again, it has not that much to do other than we don't want to be paying bill. You know, Biden spent $350 billion in that war, got nothing for it.
How do interest rates end up going down when we're servicing our debt to the tune of about
The state and local government set the property tax.
$1.2 trillion a year, and there's still deficit spending in Congress? How do we do that?
We have to pay off our debt. We have to start paying it off. Look, we're very under-leveraged when you look at the asset value of this country.
Property tax goes to schools a lot of time in the area.
But we're over leveraged in terms of cash flow. We're going to have a big cash flow. We're going to take in, for years we allowed our country to be raped and pillaged. Raped and pillaged, terrible expressions. And that's what happened. Much of it was done by our friends. Look at the European Union. We can't sell cars to them, but they sell millions of cars to us. They don't take our agricultural product, but we take theirs. The days are changing. We're not going to let this happen.
It's Barron's birthday on Thursday.
Yes.
And we've all as a country seen him
Here we go. We gotta know what Barron. What's his secret skill he's got?
grow up and see him really grow up. How often do you talk to him? Do you talk to him every day?
All the time.
What do you see?
All my kids. I speak to all my kids.
What do you see for his future, given his aptitude in certain areas? Business, politics, what?
I think business, and I think he could probably, you know, if you look at my kids, all my kids are sort of, they've been very good. They're very smart. Always good students, always the big schools, the good schools, hard to get into schools. Barron's a very smart guy. But Eric and Don, Tiffany, Ivanka, they're smart people. I'm lucky. Look, you have to be a little bit lucky, too. It's not like that. But they seem to be very smart. Not only seem to be, they are very smart. And they're good kids, and they work hard. And they love our country, and they're proud of their father. And, you know, we have a very good relationship.
You talked the other day about how music was your aptitude as a child, that your father saw that you had a musical aptitude. And so it's kind of obvious in kids early on what they're good at. But is Barron...
You know, you remember how he made it big in music, right?
In your view, business or politics?
Maybe technology. He can look at a computer. I try turning off his car, turn it off. I turn off his laptop. I said, oh, good. And I go back 5 minutes later. He's got his laptop. I said, how'd you do that? None of your business, Dad.
New Jersey is, I think, the highest property tax, right? New Jersey and New Hampshire.
No, he's got an unbelievable aptitude in technology.
What do you do when you can't sleep? Because you don't sleep. You're like me, you don't sleep at all. I know you just don't need a lot of sleep. But when you can't fall asleep, you wake up in the night.
What the fuck?
Was your aptitude as a child, that your father saw that you had a musical aptitude. And so it's kind of obvious in kids early on what they're good at. But is Barron's aptitude, in your view, business or politics?
Maybe technology. He can look at a computer. I try turning off his car, turn it off. I turn off his laptop. I said, oh, good. And I go back 5 minutes later. He's got his laptop. I said, how'd you do that? None of your business, Dad. No, he's got.
What is this story? New Jersey, then Illinois, then New Hampshire, then Vermont, then Connecticut, then Texas, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Ohio, Iowa, Pennsylvania, New York, Rhode Island. That's the top 10, I guess. What is this story? Probably from when he was a child. Even that's not an accomplishment. I mean, like, children can turn shit on nowadays.
Kids early on. What the other day about how music was your aptitude as a child, that your father saw that you had a musical aptitude. And so it's kind of obvious in kids early on what they're good at. But is Barron's aptitude, in your view, business or politics?
Maybe technology. He can look at a computer. I try turning off his car, turn it off. I turn off his laptop. I said, oh, good. And I go back 5 minutes later. He's got his laptop. I said, how'd you do that? None of your business, Dad. No, he's got an unbelievable aptitude in technology.
What do you do when you can't sleep? Because you don't sleep. You're like me. You don't sleep at all. I know you just don't need a lot of sleep. But when you can't fall asleep, you wake up in the night.
They fucking feed him Adderall all day. What do you mean he can't sleep? Motherfucker, if they take him off of it, he'd sleep for a week.
How do you go back to sleep?
Well, the only thing I totally admired about Sleepy Joe Biden is the following. He'd go to a beach. He'd lay down in a cot, barely able to get his feet through the sand. He'd lay down, and within minutes, he's sleeping, and you have cameras watching him. I could never do that. I would never be able to sleep like that. That's about...
Have we ever seen Trump without a shirt on? I don't think he wants to do that. Who's gonna take you out of your girdle, sir?
But the only thing I think that was wonderful, it was a disaster. This man was a disaster. I don't sleep much. You don't sleep much. A lot of people that love what they're doing don't sleep much, I find. And so far, it's been okay.
The Declaration of Independence.
I don't know who did this, but this is so funny. Someone has convinced Trump that this is the real Declaration of Independence. If you've ever seen the Declaration of Independence, it's extremely faded and damaged and hard to read or whatever. This is inked in perfectly. Now, I'm not saying it isn't an old copy. Maybe it's a very old copy. Maybe it was from like fucking 2 days after they signed it, somebody made a copy. Sure. But Trump thinks this is the one. It's been in storage for hundreds of years. Then maybe put up these curtains so the light can't get it. Trump thinks this is it. Trump thinks this is it.
People that love what they're doing don't sleep much, I find. And so far, it's been okay.
You think Biden even knows what that is? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does.
Independence, Diet Coke. Yeah, that's a combination I never thought I'd be asking about in the White House. But after our interview in the diplomatic room, President Trump...
God, they have fucking these goddamn Fox News has no charisma. Like, you can tell they're going for like the ultimate boomer fucking that doesn't know how to work the remote, so they never change the channel. The setup to the story was the Constitution, Diet Coke, not a combination I thought I'd be talking about. Jesus Christ. This makes me want to tune in for more.
took us on an exclusive tour of the Oval Office. So you brought how many paintings into the Oval Office this time? Very different from the
I'm going to
first
show
time.
you a lot. It's much different, never been like that. You had some of those paintings in vaults and safes for 100 years.
Wow.
They haven't been exposed.
How did you pick?
I went by the presidents. I picked presidents, almost all presidents.
Remember when he couldn't name Andrew Jackson? He's like, that one's a good one. And look back there, Washington. Remember?
Some Supreme Court justices. After you.
Are you paving over the grass here?
What was happening is that's supposed to have events. Every event you have, it's soaking wet.
Yeah.
It's soaking wet, and people can't. And the women with the high heels, it's just too much.
That's who did the Kavanaugh.
That's what we
Kavanaugh
did.
thing.
That's right.
Amy Coney Barrett.
And the grass just, it doesn't
Okay, now you guys are just having a sidebar. This isn't an interview.
work, and we have a gorgeous stone and everything else.
Okay.
But, we use it for press conferences, and it doesn't work because the people fall into the, into the wet.
The roses stay, the grass
The
goes.
roses stay. No, it's a rose garden. No, all of this stays. Just the center section.
Somebody catch him off guard and ask him to name the presidents on Mount Rushmore.
I think it's gonna be beautiful. I think it's gonna be more beautiful. Look at that view over there. See that?
Pretty nice.
Look at that. How is that? Pretty good?
Pretty beautiful.
It's a great place.
So you thought there's no doubt you're coming back into office when you walked out of here.
Well, I felt that, but I didn't know. Let me say it.
He thought, if I don't get into office, I'm definitely going to prison.
I didn't know if I was going to run because I knew how much I won that election by. But if I thought I didn't win the election, I absolutely wouldn't have run.
Wow.
But because of the fact I did so well, it was such a horrible.
But if you didn't run, they would never come after you legally. They never would have done all that to you. If you didn't run, they would have let you alone.
I was told, and so I took a big chance.
Yeah, you sure did.
I took a big risk, actually.
In the mugshot.
Nobody's ever.
There were already cases in the works before you ever announced that you were running. So
Never told me that. What you just said, nobody's ever said it. That's exactly correct. If I didn't run, none of this.
Oh, no. They wouldn't have had any investigation. None
Look,
of it.
they hated me, but you have to get on with your
They'd
life.
be on to the next target.
Right.
They would have been on to the next
It's very
target.
interesting. You're right about that.
Yeah. But that's a pretty big. That's a pretty big gamble.
That was a big risk. So this is the Oval Office, and we've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort. We've taken a lot of great paintings out of the vault. And I don't know, maybe you could circle them.
I hate hearing him describe shit, dude. Well, what do you think about this leader? He's a guy. He's a great guy. Sometimes he's not so great. Sometimes he does not so great things. Some people would call them bad things. But when he does good things, he's a good guy, and I like good guys.
that somehow. So here's a question I ask. So Reagan has a place of prominence, and George Washington has a place of prominence. And I've asked this question maybe 200 times. People come in. I said, so who would you put in the place of prominence, George Washington or Ronald Reagan? Who would you put?
Washington.
So far, it's 219-0. And they like Reagan.
Oh, I love Reagan.
219-0. Yeah, okay.
But here's what they like more than anything.
Well, wouldn't that be...
So this is,
dude, he is fucking... God damn, dude. Are we sure that Elon didn't put a Neuralink into his mind and have like a mishap? Like a slip of the robot?
is the Declaration of Independence.
Wow.
And they ask the...
Bro, that's not the Declaration of Independence. It's not happening. You don't have it. Somebody in the comments said, it's like when you give your kid your old phone so they stop messing with your good one, like your new phone.
This be done. It's never been up. It's been in the vaults for many, many decades. And they said, we have to do something like drapes or something because the light eventually affects it. And it's very cool.
Oh my God.
Look how pristine this one is. I don't know when this copy was made. It could have been made whenever. They didn't. The White House didn't clarify.
Isn't that great?
Look at that ink.
Just what,
Dude, you can barely read. Hold on, I'll show it to you. I'm sure most people have seen it in D.C. in the National Archives. If I can find a good picture of it. It was passed around all over the place. He's got tattered edges and shit. Okay. Yeah. Okay, look at the title on his. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, right? Look at the title on his, the first line. And then look at this zoomed in photo of the actual Declaration of Independence. It's at the upper level of the National Archives, like I said a second ago, in the rotunda under a sealed case. Again, his. They said the National Archives brought this over. It's got to be an old copy, I'm sure, right? If they just gave him one, if they just framed one from the gift shop, that would be hilarious.
put up yesterday.
Wow.
Think Joe Biden would do this? I don't think so. Do you think he'd think of it? Do you think he knows what it is?
Wow.
No, but look at this.
Dude, he is Joe Biden's biggest fucking fan, dude. Like, it's one thing to be like, hey, we're still recovering the economy because Joe Biden fucked it up. It's another thing to be like, you think he knows what the Declaration of Independence is? Or if he knew that he could hang it up in here, I bet he didn't.
This was, none of these pictures were up. Oh, you know, very few. It's like very little. And it's been great.
Now, there was a lot made on another network about your bringing in the gold.
I think that someone told me one time that the official printer for Congress, like there's a guy that his job was to do all these copies for Congress, that he made like a couple hundred of these things of like originally for the Declaration of Independence. But only like 25 of them or some shit survived. So there's probably there could be some still out there, almost like a hidden treasure hunt. That's like from that time period, one of the original copies, blah, blah, blah.
Old accents to Trumpify the Oval Office.
It needed a little life.
So you have the mantle.
There's like 3 or 4 copies in the UK.
And you have the cherubs from, right. Is that from Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, that's actually, they're gold, all gold, look. And you know, it's angels.
He brought gold cherubs. He didn't like that she called them cherubs. From Mar-a-Lago. And he's like, they're all over. There's gold, gold, gold. They're angels. Not cherub. They're angels.
You have the mantle, and you have the cherubs from, right. Is that from Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, that's actually, they're gold, all gold, look. And you know, it's angels.
It's angels.
The angels bring good luck. And we need a lot of luck in this country with what they've done over the last 4 years.
Joe Biden did it.
So,
Sleepy Joe.
You know.
You think he knows you can hang things on walls? I bet he doesn't.
That little secret, I don't know if you...
God, that looks so fucking... Everything he does is so goddamn tacky.
You're going to waste your time putting this on, but...
I mean, I have bigger issues with the man, but goddamn.
Throughout the years, people have tried to come up with a gold paint that would look like gold, and they've never been able to do it.
Can't do it.
Oh... For many years, Mr. Krylon has been slaving away trying to make up a gold paint. They've never been able to do it. Never, not once. Since gold has been made an object of value, people have been faking golds, right? Since we've had currency, people have been faking currency. Since gold was used for trade, people have been faking gold.
You've never been able, look at that look. You've never been able to.
You would be factually correct if you said, almost as long as we've had gold, we've had fake gold.
Match gold with gold paint. That's why it's gold. And this is very important. Very proud of this gold. Never waste your time putting this on, but throughout the years, people have tried to come up with a gold paint that would look like gold, and they've never been able to do it.
Can't do it.
You've never been able, look at that look. You've never been able to match gold with gold paint. That's why it's gold.
That's why it's gold. If it wasn't, they would call it gold paint. It's angels. It's angels. That to me sounds like somebody that's insecure because they know it's fake or it's like plated or something, right? You could never fake that. Be way too hard. You could never fake it. That's why it's gold, because you can't fake it. You would see if it was fake. I wouldn't say it. You'd say it. You'd say, that looks like a fake little, it's angels. Not a cherub, it's angels. You'd say it. Then what would I say? No, it's gold.
And this is very important. Very proud of this Gulf of America. And in fact, Elon said to me, you know, we're landing in the Gulf of America. So he was saying, and he said it naturally. He said it so routinely. He said, yeah, the capsule, you know, is landing in the Gulf of America. So I called Elon, where is it dropping down? He said, Gulf of America. How cool is it?
Wait, did he just say it naturally or did you ask him? These are two different conversations you had.
And he said it naturally. He said it so routinely. He said, yeah, the capsule, you know, is landing in the Gulf of America. So I called Elon, where is it dropping down? He said, Gulf of America. How cool is that, right?
What do you think all these presidents would think right
Biden was there when the White House was brick, bro.
now?
I think
the
they'd
state
be
of the
proud of our country. I think a year ago they would have been disgraced by our country, and I think today they're proud of our country. Right?
What do you think all these presidents would think right now?
I think
the
they'd
state
be
of the
proud of our country. I think a year ago they would have been disgraced by our country, and
This is why I don't believe in ghosts. Our founding fathers would have strangled this motherfucker to death.
I think today they're proud of our country. This is the Resolute desk, by the way.
Yeah.
I had that just redone by an unbelievable group. They do only the White House furniture. They do only very special. This is the Resolute desk. Many great presidents sat behind that desk, and many didn't. I mean, you know, they have 7. When you're president, they give you a choice of 7 desks. This is the one.
Why? Why did you want this?
Just like I like the history. You had Reagan, you had Kennedy. That was the famous one with John, who I knew very well, and he was a friend of mine. He was a great guy. He would have been maybe president someday. He would have been a real chance to be president. He was going to get into politics. He was actually a great guy. John. But remember when he was a young boy, the picture of him at the bottom of the desk.
Where's the Coke button?
It's right here. Everyone thinks that's the nuclear. Everyone thinks that's the nuclear weapon. They think it's a...
People think that's the nuclear weapon. Do you talk to children a lot? How would you even aim the motherfucker? It just shoots them all?
Nuclear weapon. They say if I press this, it's the end of the world.
And then there's like
and it
50,
doesn't seem to work out that
50.
Doesn't that look beautiful though over there? But to me, you know what looks beautiful? The Gulf of America. Look at that.
What was the 50,000 coming?
The nuclear. Everyone thinks that's the nuclear weapon. They think it's a nuclear weapon. They say if I press this, it's the end of the world.
And then there's like
and it
50,
doesn't seem to work out that
50.
Doesn't that look beautiful though over there? But to me, you know what looks beautiful? The Gulf of America. Look at that.
Which one's better? Which one?
I'll take the. Doesn't seem to work out. Thinks that's the nuclear weapon. They think it's a nuclear weapon. They say if I press this, it's the end of the world.
And then there's like
and it
50,
doesn't seem to work out that
50.
Doesn't that look beautiful though over there?
There's like 50,000 something. I don't know what the fuck she's saying.
But to me, you know what looks beautiful? The Gulf of America. Look at that.
Which one's better? Which one?
And I'll take the Declaration of Independence. I think so. Isn't that cool?
When's the first time you signed? The way you sign your name, it's just people are so fascinated. But have you had that signature since you were little?
Pretty much, but it's become sharper.
People are fascinated with it?
If I look at it from 20 years ago, it was similar, but it was much softer.
And you like when your staff secretary reads out the executive orders to you when you're sitting
No, I only do that for the media, for the fake news.
Okay.
This way, yeah, they read it out. And, you know, I'll do now, because I don't even have to move.
I don't think he can read. I don't think he can read well. Like, I understand he uses a teleprompter, but he also fucks it up a lot, right? I don't think he can read well. When he's like, why don't you read that for when they brought him that letter, he's like, why don't you read that for us? Tell us what that very important paragraph in the middle is. I'll just check for the signature.
I'll do them. I'll sit here. I'll do them. And you can do a lot. They get a kick when I'm doing other work and doing a news conference when you had another guy that couldn't name his favorite ice cream.
There it is. Couldn't name his favorite ice cream. Got him.
I used to ask him, what's your favorite ice cream? Vanilla. Okay.
You know, the first time he was this obsessed with Obama, everything was Obama. But he couldn't go after like his public speaking. Like, Obama is a good orator, I guess. But everything was Obama. Now it's all Biden.
Yeah, he's done
Or Hillary. Hillary was bad too. If Hillary would have won, when Hillary was here,
conference, ladies and gentlemen. It was crazy.
Will you talk to him again, do you think?
Yeah, I'll talk.
Joe Biden.
Sure.
Do you ever call any former president? Do you call any of the former presidents?
Not much.
No.
A lot was made out of the fact that I got along very well with President Obama, right? You saw that.
Yeah, it seems so.
I can, you know, I can do things a lot.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how big. Let's see. Oh, yeah. You're probably right. Maybe he needs glasses like he can't read normal size. Because look how big his fucking teleprompter text is. I just Googled it. He doesn't want to wear glasses because he's too vain. That's probably it.
You were friends with pretty much
Teleprompter looked like a fucking billboard.
all of them.
I just didn't like the job they did. Because it's not about friends. I didn't like the job they did. They let our country down.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
They let our country down. Dude, he's such a fucking piece of shit. On top of that immigration story that we did originally, there's also this one. This one sounds so fucking horrible, dude. Like, this is what we've become under the stroke of a pen from Donald fucking Trump. German man with green card violently interrogated by U.S. border officials. Berlin checking if U.S. immigration policy has changed after Fabian Schmidt becomes third German to be detained. Germans, another ally. Berlin is investigating whether U.S. immigration policy has changed after a German national who is a permanent U.S. resident was detained and violently interrogated by U.S. border officials. Fabian Schmidt, 34, is being held at a detention center in Rhode Island after attempting to return to his home in New Hampshire after a trip to Luxembourg. His mother, Astrid Sr., told the Boston-headquartered public broadcaster, WGBH News, that her son had been violently interrogated at Boston's Logan Airport for hours, stripped naked, and put in a cold shower by two officials. A German government spokesperson told Euronews it was aware of the case and those of two other German citizens who were detained when attempting to enter the U.S. and who have subsequently returned to Germany. There was also a French scientist that was refused entry into the United States. He was coming here for a legal reason for a science convention in Texas. Refused entry because they went through his social media and he was critical of Trump taking money, the funding away from scientific research. Imagine that. Just like we have a soccer player with a soccer tattoo, we had a researcher critical of Trump for removing money from research. And he was refused entry. He was turned away. A French researcher who was going, it's crazy, dude. We have recently become aware of 3 cases in which German citizens were unable to enter the USA and were detained for deportation when they entered the country. 2 of the 3 cases had been resolved, Fisher said, adding that the German government was monitoring the situation and liaising with other EU countries to assess if there was isolated cases of representative of a change in American immigration policy. Senior told the U.S. broadcaster that immigration agents had put pressure on her son to give up his green card, and he had been placed on a mat in a bright room at the airport with little food or water and denied access to medication for anxiety and depression. Schmidt, an electrical engineer, had been returning to the U.S. on 7 March. His mother did not hear from him until 11 March when she was transferred to a hospital after collapsing. When he was transferred, he got sick, didn't have access to his medication, got like the flu and a fever, and collapsed and had to be transferred to the hospital. But he's still in custody. He's an electrical fucking engineer. What do they think? He's a member of a gang too? She told NBC News she had no idea why her son had been detained, saying, "I feel helpless, absolutely helpless." And he had a valid reason for his trip too. He went to see his father. Smith and his mother moved to the U.S. from Germany in 2007 and got permanent resident cards the following year. He renewed his legal permanent resident status last year and has no active legal issues. His mother said, although she added that he had faced misdemeanor charges 10 years ago. U.S. Customs and Border Protective Services told U.S. media the claims about his case were blatantly false without saying which points it disputed. So when they're asking about these individual claims, they're just like false, everything's false. The CBP sent Guardian a statement without further explanation. The statement also said, When an individual is found with drug-related charges and tries to re-enter the country, officers will take proper action. The German Foreign Ministry said its consulate in Boston was providing support. It is clear. So apparently about 10 years ago, he got like a possession charge or something when they were living out in California. But since then, he's been completely clean and living in New Hampshire, wherever it said. It is clear that we expect from our partners as well as from all other countries in the world that prison conditions comply with international human rights standards and that detainees are treated accordingly. The case is the latest of foreign-born nationals being detained and allegedly held in brutal conditions by U.S. border agents after Donald Trump's crackdown on immigration. The two other German nationals affected were Jessica Brosch, a 29-year-old tattoo artist from Berlin, and Lucas Seelaff, 25, from Saxony. Both had valid tourist visas for the U.S. and now have returned to Germany. According to Seelaff's fiancé, Lennon Tyler, he was detained for 2 weeks after incorrectly answering a question about where he lived owing to his poor grasp of English. Seelaff had said Las Vegas, where he was staying with Tyler, when he should have said Germany, where he permanently resides. Brosch, who was traveling with tattoo equipment, was detained for more than 6 weeks, including 9 days in solitary confinement. Her friend said a claim the company that owns the detention center denies. Meanwhile, a Canadian actor said she was detained for nearly 2 weeks in inhumane conditions over an incomplete visa. This was like a movie actor. After attempting to cross the border from Mexico, Jasmine Mooney was held in a single concrete cell with no natural light, fluorescent lights that were never turned off, with no blankets and limited bathroom facilities, her mother said. And a British woman was detained in horrendous conditions for 3 weeks, her family said, after a visa mix-up. Rebecca Burke is now reportedly home in the UK. She was arrested by U.S. border officials after attempting to cross into Canada and being sent back to the U.S. She had been planning to stay with a host family in Canada, where she would carry out domestic chores in exchange for accommodation, but was told by the Canadians she would have to apply for a working visa instead of a tourist visa. Burke had previously stayed with a host family in Portland, Oregon, under a similar arrangement after spending some time sightseeing in New York City, where she arrived from the UK at the start of the year. Like, this isn't embarrassing to anybody else. And then saying shit like, I didn't sign the bill that used the Alien Enemies Act against Venezuela. I guess Rubio did. Oh, I thought you meant the bill in 1798. This is fucking embarrassing, dude. And the whole world gets to watch it. Again, you won't find a single sane person arguing for murderers or, as Trump says, murderers, rapists, drug dealers. We don't want them in our country. But it's real fucking easy to treat everybody like shit, or brown people, or people you don't like their job, you don't like their occupation, you don't like that they're critical of you on social media, and then claim that they're gangbangers and murderers and rapists and shit. That's the problem. All you have to do is show some evidence that they are these people, and everybody will agree we should get rid of them. But you can't show the evidence because instead you're using it as your own personal way to just fuck these people over. All right, guys. It's 12:30. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Derek Johnson is currently being fooled. Laura sent me an email. Derek Johnson is currently being fooled by some guy pretending to be Pablo Escobar's son. And he thinks it's really Pablo Escobar. So Pablo Escobar's son changed his name, and he's like an architect in Colombia or some shit. But there's somebody on Twitter that claims to be Pablo Escobar Jr., and Derek Johnson is doing an interview with him on how Trump is taking down the cartel. But it's really just some Mexican guy that lives out in L.A., so that should be fun. Other than that, thank you all for joining us. Consider supporting the show if you want to. That's how I pay for this in the office and have the ability to do it every day. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I'll leave you alone. Go to coldbeer.funds. Support the show. It's time to pay your dividends. Thank you guys. You all have a good night. Sorry to always be full of bad news, but it's what we got right now. If we didn't have bad news, we wouldn't have any news. And I watch the news, so you don't have to. Have a good one, guys.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't.
I'm afraid if I get too tan this summer, I'm going to be deported.
Okay, Scott.
We used to joke with my dad all the time that we are going to call immigration on him. Even his radio handle where he worked construction was Julio.
You better buckle up, 'cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go.
That might not actually be a valid argument nowadays. He didn't live to see it.
You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, 'cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. 'Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, 'cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit.
When I'm out in the sun a lot, I guess it's probably more my like black hair, but I do get really dark tan. I look like I'm Mexican.
I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat.
But I've also got all black, like jet black hair.
I found myself in orbit strapped.
Just facial hair nowadays, but still. My dad had a real thick mustache. It was very Mexican-like.
He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude.
Good night, guys.
Seriously.